Alright, so here we are out on the BMW F800GT. Too many GZs. So yeah, this is the BMW F800GT. It's actually a brand new one. It's a 171. I have it on loan from Joe Duffy's for the day, and I'm gonna give the impressions of it. I have ridden this bike before, not this very bike, but the GT. When I was considering going BMW, I test rode a few other bikes. This is before the days of the channel, and this will be their sort of mid-range touring bike. You can get all the bags and the messing on it if you want. It's quite an unusual bike in that it's belt drive, and I'll show you the belt drive now in a minute. And you don't see a lot of belt drive bikes. It tends to be a bit of a risk to take for a manufacturer to put out a sort of a weird belt drive. Even shaft drive you don't see a huge amount apart from the big manufacturers, but I guess BMW were like, we're BMW, we'll do what we fucking like, fuck the police. And it's I don't pretend to be able to tell the difference between, a chain drive bike, which I used to have chain drive bikes, and I'm on the shaft now, and it's immediate power transfer, and the belt is kind of the same. And the thing with the belt is that, maintenance wise, I think, I haven't looked at the service schedule, but like, you only need to change the belt every, I know it's in 5 figures in terms of kilometers, not like a chain where you're poking away at it every couple of weeks seeing if it's knackered. So although obviously there's the counterpoint, which is when you do need a new belt, you have to go into a BMW main dealer most likely, and they can be a bit spendy. Alright, that's the work done. Time to go give this thing back. And I've had the opportunity to ride it for about a half an hour, given that I was kind of busy enough today, so I will give my initial impressions. I know I rode this before, having only come off a small bike, and I was like, oh, what a big bike. Certainly after coming off the RS, this does seem like I mean, not physically small, but a much less powerful bike. And even compared to the other bikes in its class, if you like, the Diversion and the Ninja, you really do kind of have to give it a proper welly before it'll pull you out of things. And so I would compare it to the Ninja, the ER6. It's a little less crack. It's not just about crack, it's about like practicality in terms of being able to do stuff for you. I have noticed, and I've noticed that it kind of vibrates a lot through the handlebars, and people sort of say they notice it or that they don't notice it. I used to notice it, and actually on the Diversion, and actually to an extent on the GS, I used to get handlebar vibrations, and that'd make my hands numb after a while. And I don't get it on the RS at all, but on this it's actually noticeable. I can feel when I'm hitting the throttle that through both handlebars I'm getting it. And it's nice enough to flick around. Certainly it's a much lighter bike, so you're going to do a bit more of that than on the RS, certainly. Sitting position is decent enough. It's you're sitting upright and the handlebars are nice and wide. I'd imagine, certainly compared to the F700GS, which I had out before, which I think is a comparable kind of engine, that you'd sorry, I got an involuntary I'm like, that wouldn't pull you out of bed, but I have to remember what I'm comparing it to. Anyway, yeah, nice and upright and decent, and yeah, compared to the 700GS, which I think is a comparable sized engine, it seems to be a much more kind of a comfortable sitting on it all day if you really feel like it bike. And I'm not 100% on what these are being marketed to. because, you know, it's the GT or Grand Touring or whatever you want to call it. If you're going on a big tour, then the difference between this bike and actually getting a touring bike, like, you know, obviously there's a difference of price, but I mean, you can pick up second hand fairly comparable if you're comparing to new. So I don't know, I mean, if you wanted a lighter bike for touring on, it seems reasonable enough. Obviously I haven't had it out on the motorway. That's a big disadvantage of my new urban existence. I don't really have motorway to go on, but it seems to be happy out for sort of sitting here at these kinds of speeds. It's nice and nimble in town. Kind of vibraty and annoying, but I'd imagine if you're sitting there with the throttle fixed, it wouldn't be as bad, but who knows. Haven't been able to see it, so the jury's out on that one. For the size of engine, it does appear to be a little bit sedate, if you like, but my impression is that these things run off, you know, a post-it note with petrol written on it, like something north of 50 miles, 60 miles to the gallon, which for a bike of this size is fairly decent. So you're not going to be sticking petrol in this thing every day. Your car's not that fucking big. Motorcycling. Oh, I love it. Alright, let's have a wee look. Alright, there it is. It's a pretty wide old fairing on it. Of course, this is the brand new. I don't think they did any updates for the 2017 model. Needs a wash. But it looks fairly nice. Fairly well put together, as is the BMW standard. I do kind of like the fuel tank being there. I think it's much handier than being up on the fuel tank, being up on the what would be the fuel tank, I suppose. Adjustable preload there with your little knob there. That's the belt drive, so that's a belt rather than a chain. And yeah, I mean, this is all fairly straightforward shit. The can looks different from the one on the 700GS. I think I like the look of it a little better. It doesn't look as out of place as the big silvery thing. Center stand, which I do like on a bike. And yeah, that's kind of it. It's after 5, so I need to fucking bring this thing back. Okay, as far as the dash goes, it's pretty much identical to the 700GS dash. It has an analog speedo, and I have no idea why bikes or cars still have analog speedos, but however, your rev counter, which redlines at 9,000, and the sort of multi-functional display, which I think you can play with a bit on with the buttons on the handlebars. I've run out of words. Let me try that one again. Nah, fuck it, it'll do. We'll do it live, ship it. Anyway, let's get out of here. Oh dear. Yeah, even going along this road at like 50 kph, my head's kind of getting lashed out of it with the wind coming off of the windshield. Now obviously you'd figure something out or get a different windshield or something like that, but out of the box, the wind protection seems to be okay, but not great. I mean, certainly doesn't beat the RS, which has about the same size windshield, except it's about a foot further away from you. Oh no! I needed to fucking Oh, no. When you pull the throttle and you just want the bike to go and it doesn't go. Oh. Oh. And then you do pull the fucking throttle and it shakes all the air bubbles out of you. Oh no. Oh, so very quick conclusions. It's not great. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm not a BMW fanboy. You know, I like some of their bikes, but I don't really like this one. It's too vibey, and it's not, doesn't have enough welly in it, and I don't know where it fits on the touring bike versus commuting bike versus whatever else thing. So I'm not sure who the bike would be good for. But by all means, draw your own conclusions. But not really a fan. Alright, time to give it back and get back on the other item. Alright, back on this thing. I'm glad to be back on it. I think I'm going to mark that one down as a gives a shot as opposed to a proper review. I kind of just had to shimmy in and out of work with it and only managed to do the 20-second walk around. So gives a shot, BMW. Cheers. See you next time.